I, 17 female, work in a movie theater. I am usually the cashier, but sometimes I have the responsibility of cleaning the theater. Anyways, one night, my boss told me that I would be responsible for cleaning because some of the staff went home early. I was a bit annoyed because I was super tired and the time was already 12:34 a.m., but I needed the money and I only needed to clean 3 theaters. I packed up my cleaning supplies and made my way to Theater 12. I opened the door and started sweeping up all of the popcorn. I then started wiping the seats. After about 15 minutes, I was done. I packed up my supplies and started walking toward Theater 16. I cleaned up all the spills and popcorn grease that was on the seats. After 20 minutes, I was done cleaning. Then, I walked to Theater 4. I opened the door and started sweeping up the popcorn on the floor. As I was sweeping, I heard a giggling sound. Right when I looked up, the giggling stopped. I looked around, but I didn't see anyone. I then yelled, "Is anyone in here?" But no one answered. So I yelled, "No one is supposed to be here." I was getting annoyed, but I decided to forget about it and started wiping the seats in the first row. After a few seconds, I heard the same giggling sound. I stood there and listened. At this point, I was pissed. The giggling sound slowly started turning into cackling. I was creeped out, but I was also mad. I yelled out in an angry voice, "Who's here?" But I got no response. I started walking up the stairs, and as I was walking up, the cackling sound got louder and louder. I started to think of the worst scenarios. I was no longer mad because all the anger was replaced with fear. Right when I got to the 10th row, the cackling stopped. I was super freaked out. I held my breath so I wouldn't make any noise. I started to turn around because I was really scared and just wanted to get out of the theater. Right when I turned around, I heard the cackling sound again. I turned back around and looked up the stairs, but I still couldn't see anyone or anything. It was too dark. I started walking back up the stairs and eventually made it to the last row, which was the 16th row. There was a small gap behind the seats and the wall. It was about a 1-foot gap. The cackling was so loud and obnoxious. I turned my head to look into the gap. It was dark, but I could still see the face of a creepy guy. He was crouched down and staring up at me. He had a big smile on his face. Right when we made eye contact, he stopped cackling. He raised his finger to his lip and whispered, "Shh." And after a couple of moments of silence, he said, "Boo." Right when he said that, I screamed. I turned around and ran down the stairs. He tried to grab me, but he missed. He chased me down the stairs. He was cackling and screaming. I eventually made it to the big wooden doors. I opened them and closed it in his face. I ran to one of the employees and told him about the man. The employee called the police. A few minutes later, the police arrived and went into the theater. 5 minutes later, the cops came out with a man in handcuffs. The man was cackling and screaming. He was wearing dirty clothes and had long, greasy hair. Turns out, this man was a serial killer. He has killed 5 total people, and he was planning on killing me that night too, but I escaped. A few weeks later, I quit that job.